Hey everyone, my name is Tori, and today I'm going to be doing my very first ever Get Ready With Me, and I hope this works. I'm just gonna go with it. I have the camera kind of stacked up on a shoebox here, and I have my little light up mirror behind it. And my hair is still wet, so like this is a real life Get Ready With Me. So what you're going to see are just products that I normally use on a daily basis. I do like to rotate things out. I do like to try different things, and sometimes if I have a little bit of extra time in the morning, then I'll do something, you know, a little more of a smoky eye, or maybe I'll do like a bold lip or something like that. But this is pretty much what I do most days, give or take a few products. So we'll get into that. But my hair is wet, or mostly wet. I just took a shower, so I am going out a little bit later tonight for a friend's birthday, so it's probably going to be drying as we go through it and looking a little crazy, so whatever. My first thing that I already did is I already primed my skin. I used what I usually use every day. I wash my face and I do my skincare routine, and I put on a moisturizer. From there, I will put on 2 primers. Usually, I will use the Peach Perfect Matte Primer on the T-zone of my face, and on the outer perimeter of my face, I will use the First Aid Beauty Smoothing Skin Smoothie Coconut Primer, something like that, on the outer perimeter of my face. So that's what I've done today. Yeah, so let's get started. My favorite way to apply my foundation is with a damp sponge. This is the sponge by Flower Beauty. I just run it under the sink in the morning, and then I squeeze out the excess water, roll it up in a towel, and this is what I use to put on my foundation and concealer. The foundation that I use every single day, for the most part, is the Too Faced Peach Perfect Comfort Matte Foundation, and I'm in the shade Swan. My hair is going to drive me nuts, so sorry if I touch it like 15,000 times. So I will usually just use 1 pump on the back of my hand. I'll take the sponge, get it off my hand, and then go onto my face. This is my favorite foundation because I feel like I really get the long wear out of it. It says, I think it says it's like a 16-hour wear foundation. 14-hour wear. On most days, I have my makeup on for at least 14 hours or longer. So I always need a foundation that is going to stay in place for a super long time. It also keeps me matte without like completely sucking the life out of my skin. This is definitely buildable. Lately, I haven't had, I mean, cross my fingers, right? I haven't had as many like active breakouts, so my skin's been behaving pretty well recently. So when that happens, I don't use as much foundation. I'll just use like 1 pump. Otherwise, I might use 2 and just build it up and layer the foundation. And it never looks like crepey or cakey or anything like that. After I do that, I go in with my concealer, and the concealer I've been using recently is the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. Mine's in the shade Swan, which is the same shade as the foundation. I use just a little bit, like literally that's it for under my eyes, and then anywhere else around my face that needs maybe a little extra coverage. Then after I get my concealer on my face, I will go back in with the same sponge and blend everything out. I had to get out a little compact mirror here because I feel like I can't like get close enough to see myself in this bigger mirror behind the camera. Lately, what I've been doing for underneath my eyes is I've been taking this Smashbox Photo Finish Primer Water, which I've had for a while, and honestly, I don't really see the purpose or the need for it. I've used it as a primer, I've used it as a setting spray. It just doesn't really do anything for me. I don't really understand like the purpose of it. It just always seems like an extra step that I don't need. But what I have liked doing recently to blend out my concealer under my eyes, because for some reason my under eyes have just been so dry lately, and any concealer I put under there just gets gross. It like clumps up. So I've been spraying just the end of my little sponge here and then blending it out, and it just it helps the concealer just like blend into my skin. It looks so much more natural, and it keeps it from being like clumpy and crepey and gross, which is the goal, right? Like, it literally doesn't even look like there's anything there. Love it. So because of that, I mean, that would be the only reason I would repurchase this, to do this step. But honestly, you probably do it with like any setting spray that you have. So I don't necessarily think that that product is worth the money. From there, I'll take the other side of my sponge and just blend everything back out. Make sure everything is nice and seamless. After that, I take my setting powder. This is the Laura Mercier Loose Translucent Setting Powder. This is my favorite loose powder, like, ever. I take a little bit in the cap on a brush. Kind of tap it off, swirl it in there, and then I set underneath my eyes. I also set my eyelids as well. This is what I use kind of in place of an eyeshadow primer. And then I also set this little forehead wrinkle thing I've got up here. And then I'll take it down my forehead, and that really keeps that area from creasing as much. Then I'll also take a little bit on my smile lines and just blend it up and out from there on either side. Anything that's left over, I just put right there on my chin. After that, I will always set my entire face. What I'll usually use is the L'Oreal Pro Matte Infallible powder, and this is like my favorite setting powder for all over. I've been using this forever. I've gone through so many of these. I also really like the Maybelline Stay something? Super Stay? I don't know. Maybelline something. I use that setting powder. But lately my skin, I don't know what is going on, but my skin has just been changing. I don't know if it's the weather or like what it is. But lately I've been using this IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better CC Airbrush Perfecting Powder. This has SPF 50 in it. And I've been using this to set my entire face just with a big fluffy brush. Because I just find that it gives my face, like, it's not so matte everywhere. It's a little more of like a hydrating powder maybe. It has kind of a soft matte finish. So this is definitely a bit better for my current like skin situation. This powder definitely does not keep you matte the way that those other two powders that I usually use do. The next thing I do is I go in with a bronzer, and the bronzer I've been using currently is the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Soleil bronzer. It's a matte bronzer. It smells like chocolate, and I'm pretty close to being done with it. I love this bronzer, have loved this bronzer, but when I'm done with this, I think I'm going to, two things. I'm going to go back to my butter bronzers. I already bought one to use when this is done because that's my favorite one. And then I also want to focus more in 2019. I want to use more of my face palettes. So I have bronzers and face palettes that are great, but I don't ever reach for them because they're in a face palette. So I want to work on using some of those bronzers. So I swirl, tap, and I go in right there kind of at the hollows of my cheeks and then up around my forehead. I don't really focus on contouring necessarily, but I do try to keep it like above my collarbone, above my cheekbone region, so that way it doesn't get too muddy and messy like underneath. Just make sure that I blend it back into my hairline as well so everything is nice and blended. Then the last step that I do with bronzer is I always take it down my neck. So I just put a little bit right here on my little chin, underneath my chin, and then I blend it down the sides of my neck just so everything kind of matches a little bit better and is more cohesive. And then if ever, if my bronzer ever looks a little crazy, I will go in with my same brush that I used. Where did I put it? Same brush that I used to set my under eyes with the loose powder, and I'll just blend out those edges. So everything looks nice and blended. The other thing that I'll do a lot of times if I feel like my bronzer is looking a little crazy or anything's looking a little crazy is I'll use my Park Ave Princess contour palette, and I will mix these two lighter shades, and I will blend underneath that area. And then same thing, if my blush is weird or something, I'll kind of blend it in on my cheeks. For blush, lately I've been using the Charlotte Tilbury Chic to Chic Swish and Pop blusher, and this is in the shade Sex on Fire. It's described as a tawny rose. I like to use any type of blush that's just a very natural color, and right now this is just the one I've been using. I got a $100 like VIB Rouge Point Perk thing, which was awesome because I was able to basically have like a $100 gift card to Sephora. So I used that to finally try out Charlotte Tilbury, and I'm super excited. I've wanted to try this blush for a long time, but I just could never bring myself to spend, I don't know, the $40 on it. It's just, This Charlotte Tilbury to me is just like luxury. It's like up there with Tom Ford, and I don't know. I spent like, I say that, I have things in my collection that are expensive, but there's just something about like buying the Charlotte Tilbury blush that was just like that extra push. I also got the highlighter palette as well with that $100 gift card essentially. It's the one with the 3 shades, like the Bar of Gold highlighting palette, and it's amazing and I love it. But it was like $60, so I don't think I would have bought that without that gift card. So for this one, I just swirl it on the edge, and then I pop in the center, which I think is how they describe you're supposed to do it. And then I try to focus the color kind of back, like up my cheek, and then blend it down into the apple of my cheek. So I don't want it to be like clown cheeks, you know, too much in the front. So I'll just blend that back. I love this colors. It has a little bit of a sheen, so it's got kind of like a natural like glow, but it's not sparkly at all. And I just love this color. I just think it's super natural. Anything that's left over, I'll kind of just dust right on the bridge of my nose. And then if I'm feeling extra, onto my chin. For fun. Why not? This is the Kylie Cosmetics Loose Highlighter in the shade Santorini. And I take just a little bit in the cap. What I like about this highlighter is it just looks very, it looks natural. Like, as natural as a highlight can be. It's just softer without being like too crazy. So I put it right here at the high point of my cheek, and then I blend it up and then all the way down. Don't use too much. Just enough to where you can, like, if you turn your head, you'll see it, you know? Don't want to get too crazy. So with this highlighter, I feel like I can apply it over blush and it still looks fine. I can apply it under blush and it's fine, but if I use something that's a little bit more intense, like maybe a Becca highlighter or one of the Anastasia Beverly Hills highlighters, I like to put that on first and then do blush on top, so I feel like you get a little bit more of a smoother application or a blend. It looks just a little more seamless. You love when you're highlighting and then it's like, oh, hello, welcome. So I'll blend that all the way down and then I'll take it a little bit up into my temples. I love this highlighting powder. I just think it's so pretty, and it's weird because it's something I normally wouldn't use. I prefer a pressed powder, but I really love that loose powder. After that step, I'll usually go back in with my little powder brush and I'll just blend out the edge of that blush and the highlight. From there we have brows, and if you have ever seen my channel before, you know I am not great at brows. I hate brows. I feel like it's the worst. It's like the worst part of the routine to me. I don't know why. Well, my favorite brow product is by Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's the Brow Wiz. And it's just, I go through them so quickly, I can't justify spending $20, like $22 each time I get a brow pencil. So I feel like I go through at least one a month. So I'll usually, if I can't get them on sale, then I will use something else. And I've used several drugstore versions. I haven't really found one that I love yet. I found this at Sephora like last week, I think. And this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Ride or Die Brow Duo. And it comes with a full-size, this is so cool, full-size brow pencil in taupe, which is my shade. And then it comes with a full-size brow gel. Now, if you've seen my channel before, I've had struggles with this brow gel because... not with it, but buying it. This brow gel is like $20, 20-something dollars. It's my favorite brow gel that I've ever used, but there's something about spending a lot of money on brow products that I like just can't get with. The same thing with like mascara, eyeliner, anything that I go through really quickly. It's hard for me to justify it unless it's like absolutely amazing change your life status, which I do kind of feel like this clear brow gel is. I've been using the NYX Control Freak brow gel and I do really like that. I actually just put it in my empties bin because it's starting to get really old and it's like turning colors and starting to smell kind of weird. Well, it's not really old, but I've been using it for several months at this point. And I was going to repurchase it, but when I saw this little kit at Sephora, it was just such a good deal. I think it was $20 or something like that. It was like 20 or was below 25. $20? You get both of these full-size products, which makes it like essentially 10 and 10. So at that point, I'm like, okay, I can do that. So I'll be able to use this Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel for a little while. And this will be my last Brow Wiz because I don't have any left like from sales or anything like that. So after that, I'll need to get a new one. from a different brand. So for brows, I'm not the one to be, you know, giving any types of tips or anything like that, but here's how I do it. I'll take the spoolie, comb through my brows, and I'll take the little tip. I first start with the straight line on the top. Not bad. Alright, brow number 2. Alright, when I'm done filling them in, then I just go back and comb through them just to make sure everything is make sure everything's blended, I didn't miss any areas. Great. Next, I'm going to go ahead and set my brows using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel. This stuff is literally like hairspray for your brows, or like hair gel for your brows. It does last quite a long time, like the actual bottle itself. I feel like I can keep for a few months. The product is just... The NYX Control Freak is good. This one just I feel like this one holds my brows better. Alright, next thing here, I have, I don't know why I do this. I always put eyeliner on now. I put eyeliner on before I do my my eyeshadow. If I know what eyeshadow look I'm going to do, and even if I don't, I pretty much always go in with the same type of eyeliner. And usually I use the L'Oreal Infallible, it's like carbon black 16-hour wear liner or something like that. That's the liner that I pretty much always have and go for. But lately I've been trying to use my MAC eye kohls that I've had for way too long and are probably dangerous because they're probably expired, but I really love these eye kohls. This one is in the shade Teddy, and you can see it's getting a little short there, so I wanted to go ahead and finish this up while I still have it. It's a really dark brown. I just go in and line my waterline with this. Alright, next up's the fun part. For eyeshadow, I will usually do, well, some days if I'm feeling extra tired or extra lazy or whatever, I'll just go back in with my bronzer and I'll just put bronzer in the crease, and then whatever highlight is on my face, I'll put that on my eyes and be done, and it takes no time. But most days I will go in with just a neutral transition shade, and then I'll highlight my brow bone and inner corner, and then sometimes I will also do one deepening shade in the outer crease, and that's pretty much it. On most days I use one of 3 palettes, or I'll use a single eyeshadow by ColourPop. I don't know what the shade is called. It's just a neutral color, but it looks like this. This is the Jaclyn Hill Morphe eyeshadow palette that they collab to create. I will usually go in with this neutral shade here, and then I will highlight with this one here. And then I might deepen up my outer crease with this here or something like that. If I don't use that, then I might use the Kylie Cosmetics Bronze Palette. I really like this palette. This is the one I took with me to Greece. I will do this color all over, and then I will mix this shade and this shade and put those two in the crease to deepen it out. Or I will use the ColourPop I Think I Love You palette, and I will use this shade here, and then I will deepen it up with this really dark shade up here. So, and then sometimes, usually if I'm using this palette, then I'll also just go ahead and do my lid with this little shimmer. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is use the ColourPop palette one, because I can make it look a little more nighttime appropriate, because I am going out later. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one, but this is the same look that I would use on a daily basis with this palette, and it's pretty quick, but it looks like it's not. So I'll start with this transition shade here. I love this shade so much that I bought it in a single and put it in a Z palette. I didn't really need to do that, but... So I will start by just taking a huge fluffy brush, and I will blend that all over my transition area and up into the crease. Then I do the same thing on the other side. It's not too particular about this shade. I'm just trying to kind of get it everywhere. So this is a Morphe M533. That's my favorite brush to use for all over the lid. This is a Morphe brush as well, and I have no idea what it's called because there's no name on it. I've had it forever. It's kind of like a fluffy pencil brush. I will take that brush and go back into the same shade and go underneath my lower lash line, starting with the most pigment on the outer corner and then blending it in and underneath, and just making sure that it gets all over that lower lash. From there, I'll take a slightly bigger brush. It's still like nice and fluffy. This is the Morphe M441 brush. It is a little more tapered at the end, so it's a little more precise. I'll go in with this darker brown shade here, and I'll focus that in the outer like V, and then blend it up into the crease. Then I'll go back in with that same fluffy pencil brush, and I'll take that underneath the lower lash line, focusing it mostly in the outer corner. Just making sure that's nice and blended. And then after that, I will go back in with my large fluffy brush and blend everything out to make sure it's nice and seamless. Then usually what I'll do is I'll use this shimmer shade here, this kind of vanilla pinky champagne-y color. I'll just take it on my finger and I'll apply that to the lid. So you can kind of see there's like a line on either side. So what I'll go in and do is I'll go back in with this fluffy one, like the tapered fluffy brush, and I'll blend out that little line so it's a little more seamless and blended. And then I'll go back in with the really big fluffy brush and just blend the crease. If I want to, I don't always do this, I'll go into the Jaclyn Hill palette or into my highlighter, whatever I used on my face, and I will take my little Morphe E36, which is my favorite brush to highlight my brow bone in my inner corner with, because it's like precise but still fluffy. So I'll just add this on my brow bone to highlight that area and kind of bring a little more light. Yeah, that's nice. Then I'll do the same thing on the inner corner, like really go in. And what I'll do sometimes is I'll connect it. I saw a makeup artist do this once on a YouTube tutorial, and I just really liked like how much light it brings to that part of the face. So I just hit pan! I just hit pan! That's so exciting. That's really cool. Okay. So I'll go into the inner corner. Hitting pan is like exciting, but at the same time it's like also kind of sad, you know? How cool. Now we're nice and highlighted. The last thing that I have to do here is eyeliner and mascara. The eyeliner I've been using recently is the NYX Epic Ink liner, and I think it's only one shade. I might be wrong. This is the black shade, if it's multiple. Yeah, well it says black, so maybe there are multiple shades. I really like it, but I do feel like it's really watery, and I tend to, the brush skips a lot, and I don't know if that's like user error, and it probably is, but I used to use the Physicians Formula, their version of this. It's like the brush tip eyeliner pen, and I really liked it for the longest time, but I like the way that one applies better, but I like the color of this one more. This one's like way blacker and much darker, so that's why I've continued to use this one, and I don't know if I'll go back to the other one, to the Physicians Formula. I'm not sure. Depending on the day, this line can be really thick or really thin. You know when it's not straight, it's kind of like when you're doing a wing, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's kind of like that. I try to focus it like close to my lash line and then just kind of build it up from there. Literally, like, eyeliner is the hardest part for me. If I mess up, like I did, I'll wipe it off, put a little of the lid shade back, and then try again. Sometimes this never happens, and then sometimes it'll happen 10 times in a row. You just never really know what you're going to get, you know? Okay, we're going to leave it there. That looks fine. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, that's as good as it's going to get. So there's a close-up of how the eyes are doing. And curl my lashes. Do one little tight squeeze. And that's it. And then from there, I like to do 2 layers of mascara. And the first one I use is the L'Oreal Voluminous Original, or I will use the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise. I like them both. That's always the one that I'll go in with first, and then the second one that I go in with is the Maybelline Lash Sensational Full Fan Effect. So these are my favorite mascaras to use, and I always use them together. So it's always the L'Oreal and then the Maybelline on top. It's crazy how much of a difference mascara makes. If you hear snorting, that's my pug. So that's with one coat of the L'Oreal Voluminous. Oh, I just got all over my eyes. I'm super messy with mascara applications, so what I'll do is I'll let it dry. If it gets somewhere, like on my eyes, I'll let my mascara dry first on my skin, and then I'll go in with a Q-tip and just wipe it off. So now for the Maybelline. I feel like this just really adds that extra, like, oomph. I just love the way that these mascaras layer, and I do feel like I get, like, more volume and more length. So you can kind of see the difference here. This is with both mascaras, and this is with just the L'Oreal. The L'Oreal one looks fine, but I just really like the way that it looks with the Maybelline on top. So then whatever mascara is left over on the wand, I will put on my lower lashes. So there you go. The last step I do, usually every day, I just wear a gloss. I enjoy wearing lip colors. I like to wear bold lips, like all the good stuff. But just on the daily basis, I love wearing lip gloss because it's just quick and easy. And it's easy to reapply throughout the day. So normally I will go for like a neutral color. My favorite recently has been the Fenty Gloss Bomb. And this one is the universal shade. The first one that she came out with. I love this, and if it was sitting straight up, you could see like how much I've used of this. I love this lip gloss. It smells great, wears really well. Either that or I will wear one of the NYX butter glosses. I love the shade Creme Brulee, and I love the shade Tiramisu, and pretty much any of the other neutrally pink glosses. I love those. So those are usually the two glosses that I will reach for daily. That gloss just like so pretty. So now, the last thing I do, that I normally have to do, is I take a Q-tip and I will go in and clean up any mascara from under my eyes or on my eyelids. So my eyelashes are really long, so it's really easy for me to, like when I'm putting on mascara, it gets on my skin. Like this literally happens almost every day. To finish everything off, I go in with a setting spray, and usually the setting spray that I've been using for the past several years is the Urban Decay De-Slick Oil Control Setting Spray, something like that. But I have the Urban Decay All Nighter one, and I don't really know how I got this. I feel like I got it on sale. Probably. This is the only setting spray I've used for years. The Oil Control one. I think this one's fine too. I do feel like the Oil Control does have more oil controlling properties, but if you have like combination skin or dry skin, normal skin, I think this will work just fine. I do have oily combo, and right now it's been a little more on the like almost normal side, normal to oily, but still combo. I don't know, it's like having a, I don't know what's happening. It's very dry around the outside, but then it's like I still get oil around the center, but I do feel like I'm leaning more like normal combo right now. I don't know how that's possible. I did recently discover the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist Spray, and I do like to use this on days where my skin feels really dry. And sometimes I'll even just spray it like on this part of my face. Like I'll do a spray like this and like this, just on that part of my face. And I really do find that it helps with like, with the dryness, especially if any of my powder is like sitting weird on my face. If I'm extra dry that day, then this really helps with that. But today I don't really feel like I'm super dry, so I'm just going to use the setting spray. So shake it up. It does smell kind of weird. Like not bad, but just kind of weird. And when it gets on my lip gloss, it makes me want to like wipe my lips off so I don't eat it. So this is my go-to everyday look for the most part. Some of these products do switch out here and there if I'm working on like trying to pan something specifically, or if I want to get more use out of something, or trying something new, or like wanting to get, you know, use a coral cheek instead of a nude, you know, whatever. So sometimes I'll interchange some things, or if I want to do something more fun with my eyes, I'll use a different eyeshadow palette, but mostly this is pretty much the look that I go for every single day. It's quick and it's easy, and I know how to do it, and usually without talking through this can take me about 15 minutes, depending on how many times I mess up my eyeliner. But yeah, that's all I have for this video today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.